And we are live. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to be spending time with you all. My name is Michael Mataluni, and I'll be your host today. Joining me is Cyrus Khambatta. Cyrus is a New York Times #1 best-selling author of Mastering Diabetes. He is an incredibly knowledgeable fellow when it comes to this idea of intermittent fasting and helping you to break down the mythologies that you may have run across on social media. So we're here to set the record straight today. Cyrus, how are you, buddy?
What's up, my man? How you doing, dude? Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm so excited today. You've got a lot to share, and we have done this presentation before, but I just want folks to know, if you're either new to this presentation or if you haven't seen this before, there's a lot that you may have missed. If you haven't, welcome. You're going to learn a lot today. So make sure you grab a pen, a piece of paper, take any notes. I'm going to be turning off the chat here in a few seconds. But for right now, tell us where you're from. Tell us where you're joining us. We've got Deirdre from Lindfors. We've got Beverly, Lynn. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be doing a live Q&A session, so you can ask your questions to Cyrus at the end.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited.
And hopefully there's a lot of them. Yeah, so a couple of ground rules here. I have a toddler that is running around in the background. She's become very verbal and very mobile in the last week. And so if she happens to come in here and get a little loud, I hope that's okay with people.
Forgive us. Forgive the toddler. I mean, if they can't forgive a toddler, I mean...
Yes. Okay, she's coming in right now. Here, hold on. You want to say hi? Here, you want to say hi to everybody? Ready? Here we go. Here we go. You want to say hi? Look, you're live on TV. Say hi to everybody. Look, that's Mike right there.
Say hi. Say welcome. Welcome, everybody.
Right. Her name is Indigo. She's 11 months old, and she just started walking. And she's actually been a plant-based eater her entire life. And she's more active than most kids her age. And I love it. So... The real purpose of today's conversation is to talk about just what you were saying, intermittent fasting. We want to crack the code on intermittent fasting because I have been studying intermittent fasting since the year 2007 when I first went to UC Berkeley to get my PhD. And I was lucky to do a 5-year PhD degree where we did a full deep dive into understanding what is intermittent fasting, how does it affect an organism, when does it promote health, when does it detract from health? And what are all the caveats associated with it? But since that time, what I've seen on social media is that people make it too confusing. And there's some set of core principles, which are very important to understand, which we're going to go through. But yet the stuff that's communicated on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and whatnot, some of it is right. Some of it is completely wrong. And people put in a lot of their opinions. And then the net result is that a lot of people who want to try intermittent fasting or want to do some want to improve their health, all of a sudden they're like, I don't know, what should I do this? Should I not do this? Am I going to be protein deficient? Am I going to starve? Am I going to be overweight? What? I don't understand. And then that's where it can become kind of annoying. Right. So we can kind of get into that.
Amazing.
All right.
So as you start to share your screen, I just want to again welcome everyone. Joe, welcome. Christina, Linda, Parker, Christina, Nick, Parker, Marlene, welcome everyone. And again, remember, we're going to do a live Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, just hold them to the end and we'll get your question answered.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Perfect. Okay, here we go. So we're going to crack the code on intermittent fasting and teach you everything you ever wanted to know. In today's webinar, we're going to cover 4 things. Number 1, we're going to talk about how to use fasting so that you can accelerate fat loss, not just weight loss, but particularly fat loss. Number 2, we're going to show you how you can slow the rate of aging using your food as medicine, and who doesn't want that? We're going to talk about how you increase your energy levels and keep them high. And you can do this actually using a very simple collection of techniques and keep your energy levels high all the time. Of course, who doesn't want that? And then we're going to talk about how to perform intermittent fasting, not as a short-term tool just so you can go fit in a bikini and go to the beach during the summer, or not so that you can go to your friend's wedding and fit into that because it's been a long time. I'm going to teach you how to use intermittent fasting as a tool to reverse the rate of aging or slow the rate of aging, increase your energy levels, and lose weight sustainably into the future. Sustainability is very important, and hopefully you guys think the same thing. Just like Mike said, at the end, we're going to be doing a Q&A, so we'll answer all the questions that you may have. And I also have some fun bonuses that I'd love to give you, so stay towards the end for sure. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Cyrus Kambata. I was diagnosed with 3 different autoimmune conditions in the year 2003 2002 when I was a senior at Stanford University. So I was attending college, I was studying mechanical engineering, and I got diagnosed with 3 life-altering conditions. Number 1, Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. Number 2, alopecia, which is why I have no eyebrows, no eyelashes, no ear hair, nose hair. I can't grow a beard. I can't grow a mustache to save my life.
You ever pen those in? You just grab a little pen, just pen them in.
Yeah, actually, factoid. I used to draw my eyebrows on. Most people don't know this. When I first lost them, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. It looks weird if I don't have eyebrows."
Use
so I would actually
permanent Sharpie marker, or what did you use?
Yeah, I used it was like the same pencil that women use, I believe, for their eyelids. What do you call that? Is that mascara?
Eyeshadow, or I don't know.
It was like an eye pencil, I think is what it was called. Maybe.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So I would draw my eyebrows on, and then when I looked at photos of myself from back in the day, I was like, "What was I doing?" Terrible, man. And then I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes as the 3rd autoimmune condition, and I was like, "Man, something is definitely wrong. Like, I don't know if I'm doing something to myself, but like." Clearly, my body is not very happy with me. So at that time, my doctors were like, "Hey, listen, Cyrus, I don't know how to reverse Hashimoto's. I don't know how to reverse alopecia, but I'm not going to try and reverse type 1, but I can tell you how to control your blood glucose and your insulin use. Eat a low carbohydrate diet. Eat the foods you see on the screen: butter, cheese, milk, eggs, bacon, red meat, white meat. Low carbohydrate foods, and try to stay away or minimize your intake of fruits and vegetables and legumes and whole grains, because those are going to cause your blood sugar to go high." So I said, "Cool. Sounds like a plan. Let's do it." So I started to eat a low carbohydrate diet, but it did the exact opposite of what it was supposed to do. My glucose was supposed to come down. My insulin use was supposed to come down, but the opposite happened. My glucose went higher. I would hit these numbers on my glucose meter that was like, in the 200s, sometimes the 300s, sometimes the 400s, which is way too high. It's 2 to 3 to 4 times higher than it should be. And my insulin use doubled in the first year. I lost a lot of energy. Mike, you're a soccer player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm a soccer player. You're a soccer player. We've both been playing for many years. Imagine if at the frequency you're playing now, imagine if you went and played 1 game of soccer and it took you like 4 full days to recover because your muscles were so tight that it was like hard to sit, hard to walk, hard to do everything.
No bueno.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, right? And then on top of that, imagine if every time you wake up in the morning, you're like, "Wow, you know what? I'd rather go back to sleep because I feel like I just got run over by a truck," right? That was happening to me every single day. And beyond soccer, I mean, I love going to the gym. I love biking, hiking, swimming, you name it. And I just couldn't do all that stuff. And I was like, wow, there's definitely a huge problem. So after about a year of doing this, I decided that I was going to start changing the way I did things. So I started eating a plant-based diet, not because I was looking for that, but because my friends and family members had introduced me to this concept, and I started talking with people. And before I knew it, I was communicating with a nutrition health expert who helped me understand the benefits of eating a plant-based diet. I was scared because he told me to increase my carbohydrate intake big time. And I had been told that carbs equal sugar, and carbs are going to increase my blood sugar. And, I'm going to become more diabetic. But I did it anyway. And I increased my carbohydrate intake by more than 400%. And I lowered my fat intake substantially from 85-ish grams per day all the way down to like 10 to 20 grams per day. And so the combination of eating more carbohydrate and eating less fat actually resulted in my insulin use coming down significantly. So this was the kicker for me, because I thought I was going to increase my blood glucose. It went down. I thought I was going to increase the amount of insulin I was using. It went down. But what was interesting is that my carbohydrate intake in blue was going higher, but yet my insulin use in orange was going down. And nobody could explain this.
Right.
Not a single human being could explain this outside of Doug Graham, the guy who taught me how to do this.
Now, did Doug have did he study a scientific process to understand this, or it was trial and error? And then now are these processes explained scientifically?
Yeah, great question. So Doug is a guru. So Doug Graham went on to write a book. It's called the 80-10-10 book. Doug Graham is a doctor of chiropractic, and he's been studying nutrition for the better part of, at this point, probably like 50 years. And so back in 2003, when I started communicating with him, and I was like his first type 1 client, I believe, he had had 20, 30 years of knowledge of scientific knowledge about the power of eating a plant-based diet. And he had seen it before. He had read all the research papers, but I hadn't. So at that point, he pointed me towards the science and he said, hey, look, this profound effect that you're seeing in your body right now, where you have more energy and your glucose is down, your insulin is down, like just keep doing it. Literally don't change anything, because it's going to continue to get better and better over the course of time. But since you have a scientific mind, go study it. And I was like, man, I definitely need to study this. So I went to UC Berkeley. And while I was there, I studied for 5 years. And I wrote multiple scientific papers. And I did, hundreds of different investigations and different experiments. I studied the ins and outs of insulin resistance, and I studied the ins and outs of intermittent fasting. And so that brings me to today. This is who I am today, right? I've reduced my insulin use by 40%. I eat greater than 700 grams of carbohydrate per day. My A1C is usually between 5.3 and 5.7%, which is a non-diabetic A1C. And having gone through the sort of like Stanford, and then I was working at NASA for 2 years and Berkeley track, I armed myself with the knowledge to succeed. And so in the process of writing, I wrote a book with my co-founder, Robbie Barbero. The two of us wrote this book called Mastering Diabetes. And this book came out during the pandemic, before the pandemic. So call it 2+ years ago. And this book changed the way that a lot of people are thinking about diabetes. And this book we put in, to answer your question, Mike, this book has 800 scientific references. 800 scientific references. And the reason it has so many is because the amount of information in the world that exists today in the scientific community about eating a plant-based diet is so large that, in my professional opinion, we don't need a single more study ever to tell us the power of eating a plant-based diet. We already have it. We already have it. And this book was the purpose of this book was to try and put all that information together,
right,
to try and tell a story about what actually causes blood glucose variability and what you can do to reverse that problem and get rid of it, and say goodbye to diabetes for the rest of your life.
Got it. So intermittent fasting, is that of value for people who are non-diabetic as well?
Yeah, exactly right. So like, you guys probably didn't come to this webinar because you care about diabetes. I mean, maybe some of you do, but I realize diabetes is a my problem, and it may not be a you problem. Intermittent fasting is a tool that anyone can use, whether you have diabetes, whether you don't, whether you have heart disease, whether you don't, whether you're obese, whether you're not, whether you're overweight, whether you're not, whether you're a child, whether you're an elderly, whether you're a man, a woman, it doesn't really matter. The only type of person that I would not recommend intermittent fasting would be who is underweight and trying to gain weight, because it becomes very challenging. But 98% of all human beings can utilize these concepts to go over, because they're very powerful and they can dramatically.
Got it. That's great.
First concept. How to use fasting to accelerate fat loss. Okay. So a lot of people want to lose weight. I get it. That's awesome. Great. If you are overweight, actually do me a favor. Can you turn the chat box on for a second, Mike?
It's on. Yep.
Okay, cool. Guys, go to the chat box and tell me, if you feel comfortable, tell me, do you want to lose weight? Do you feel like you are slightly overweight, whether it's 5 pounds overweight, whether it's 100 pounds overweight? Is weight loss something that you think about and something that you'd like to accomplish? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat box.
Yeah, we're on like a 5-second delay, so people will be. Yeah, here we go. So Beverly says yes. Yes. So I definitely think folks are here because a lot of folks are here and they're interested in losing weight and using intermittent fasting to do so.
Good.
So this is for them. Yes,
okay,
and type 1. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So if weight loss is something that you're interested in, then this is going to be really powerful for you, because the truth is that when you lose weight, you lose both fat and muscle together. Okay. You can't stop that from happening, but you can shift the balance between fat and muscle. And that's ultimately what people are trying to accomplish.
That's important. Yeah.
Right.
I hope you guys are paying attention to that, because that's a really important concept.
Absolutely. Very important. So the weight loss industry has overcomplicated. Okay, the weight loss industry has overcomplicated weight loss. And used it to their advantage to try and write a bunch of books and create a bunch of nutritional supplements. And most of that information is just confusing and overly complicated. There is literally only one way to lose weight, period, end of story. There is no other way to lose weight. You have to create a calorie deficit. The way to create a calorie deficit is to expend more energy, or effectively burn more energy on a daily basis than you take into your mouth. That's it. So on a daily basis, if your body...
And this is why, like, real quick, I just wanted to say, like, I'm kind of addicted to these like survival shows, these survival reality TV shows, and like Survival and Alone and Naked and Afraid. Sure. And there's not one person who's been on any one of these shows that hasn't lost weight simply because they face a calorie deficit in the field.
100%, because the chances of you finding or hunting, gathering the required calories to operate your body on a daily basis for an extended period of time is extremely low, right? The chances of actually getting enough calories is very hard when you're in the wilderness. And truth be told, I've been telling this for a long time now. Like, I think the actual solution to chronic disease, whether it's heart disease or obesity or cancer or diabetes, I do mean this with all sincerity. I think the solution is to take people and go into the woods and just live in the woods for like 30 days at a time or 60 days at a time. Because what happens when you're in the woods and what happens when you're like away from modern civilization is that you end up inducing a calorie deficit without even knowing it, right? Without even trying. And the calorie deficit happens because, number one, you're being forced to use your body on a daily basis to go look for food, to go hunt and, find ways to actually, feed yourself. And as a result of that, it can be very hard and your energy intake is actually low. So you create this calorie deficit. But I get it. We're not hunter-gatherers. We're not cavemen. We don't live in the woods right now. So when you create a calorie deficit, it's the only way that you will actually lose energy on a daily basis. Effectively, energy equals calories. So if you create basically a 300 to 500 calorie deficit on a daily basis, then you end up with the opportunity to lose weight over the course of time.
Right.
Now, how do you create a calorie deficit is the next question. Number one, you can calorie restrict, where you basically eat less food every day. Or number two, you can perform intermittent fasting, where you are manipulating the timing of your food intake. And both of them can induce a calorie deficit. I will tell you this, calorie restriction is real hard. It's extremely effective, but eating less every single day from a psychological perspective, man, it's hard, right? Especially if you're an active person, especially if you like to go to the gym or you like to use your body. If you make yourself hungry on a daily basis because you're trying to restrict your calories, it can just make life pretty challenging. So that's one of the reasons why intermittent fasting is so powerful, because you don't have to be hungry. You just have to manipulate the timing of your food intake, right? And you can use it to your advantage. So weight loss results in both fat and muscle loss. It's like I was saying a couple minutes ago. When you lose weight, approximately 2/3 of your weight loss is due to fat loss, and approximately 1/3 of your weight loss is due to muscle loss. Okay. These numbers are just like a little bit, it can depend on, various circumstances, but approximately 2/3 to 1/3 is fat loss to muscle loss. Okay. Now, when you exercise while in a weight loss process, exercise forces your musculature to expand and contract hundreds, if not thousands of times per day. And as a result of that, your muscles end up sending a signal to your brain that is important to preserve as much muscle mass as possible so that you can continue to perform work. So as a result of that, the mere act of using your musculature helps preserve the musculature. And what that does is, in the calorie deficit, your liver, your thyroid gland, your brain, they all kind of switch and they change the way that they're operating just enough so that calorie loss, the energy that you're losing on a daily basis, doesn't come out of your muscle. It actually comes out of your fat tissue more. So you end up shifting the balance towards more fat loss and a little bit less muscle loss simply by exercising during a weight loss process. Is that clear?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is actually really powerful, because most people say, hey, I want to lose weight, but very few people are like, hey, I want to lose muscle. Let me get rid of my muscle. Let me get rid of my lean body tissue, right? And very few people will ever say that. Okay. So here's the second question. How can you slow the rate of aging using your diet? Is that even possible? So here's a way to think about it. Aging is a process that happens to all organisms. Whether you're a caterpillar or a dragonfly or a monkey or a human being, you're going to age with time. And that's totally fine. It's totally normal. And all organisms have a approximate lifespan, and it depends on their physiology and a number of, different physiological factors. The question that we're trying to figure out here is it possible, even though time is passing, is it possible to preserve as much cognitive power as possible from your brain, as much metabolic function as possible from your liver and your kidneys and your heart and your vasculature and your muscle and your sexual organs? And is it possible to lower your chronic disease risk such that you can stave off the development of diabetes and cancer and heart disease, because those are the three conditions that seem to be affecting almost 90% of America today? So the answer to that is absolutely. Time can pass, but you can preserve as much health and as much youth as possible using a very specific tactic. Now, your diet is the tactic. Your diet is what determines so many different aspects of your overall metabolism, but specifically your mitochondrial health. The mitochondria are these little powerhouses. They're the energy factories, and there are trillions of them that are located in every tissue that you can think of. There's trillions in your brain, in your muscle tissue, in your liver, in your kidney, you name it. Every single cell contains mitochondria, with the exception of red blood cells. That's it. Now, when you consume a high calorie or a high fat, high sugar diet, what ends up happening is that you stress mitochondrial networks inside of every tissue. And these mitochondrial networks are very important for generating this thing called ATP, which is used for cellular energy. But when you feed on high calorie, high sugar foods, free radicals end up creating these things called, mitochondria end up creating these things called free radicals, as you can see in these little red circles. So these free radicals can become really problematic because they can cause DNA damage. They can also cause what's called protein oxidation, and this is called oxidative stress. And they can also cause what's called lipid peroxidation, which means that they can basically attach to lipids, they can attach to proteins, and they can attach to DNA, and they can damage all three structures. And that's a problem, because when cells accumulate DNA damage, protein damage, lipid damage, the cells become dysfunctional. The cells commit suicide, this process called apoptosis, and then that causes tissues to become more dysfunctional over time, which accelerate the aging process. Now, free radicals cause extensive oxidative stress in all tissues. Here in this photo, you see oxidative stress showing up in joints, in your knee, in your elbow, in your wrist, in your shoulder, right? But oxidative stress actually can happen everywhere. It can happen in your brain. It can happen in your thyroid gland. It can happen in your liver, in your kidney. Okay, it can happen literally inside of your breast tissue. It can happen inside of joints. It can also happen inside of muscles. There's nowhere in your body where oxidative stress cannot happen. It happens literally every single place. So in order to minimize free radical damage, you can either limit the amount of free radicals that are created in the first place, or you can quench free radicals when they show up. Okay, so you can either cut off the supply, or you can limit their ability to exert nasty effects on all tissues. So again, we go back here. High fat, high calorie, high sugar produces a lot of free radicals. If you eat a plant-based diet that's very high in antioxidant content, that also has a ton of micronutrients, vitamins and minerals and fiber and water and phytochemicals, then what ends up happening is that free radicals are produced in significantly reduced quantities. So you go from high fat, high calorie, high sugar, which is like the quote unquote standard American diet, to a very high antioxidant, extremely high antioxidant, plant strong diet. And boom, the quantity and quality of my antioxidants that come into your mouth is so high that mitochondria literally are getting the most optimal fuel possible. And as a result of that, they just don't generate nearly the quantity of free radicals that they produced before. So as a result of that, less free radicals means less DNA damage, less protein oxidation, less lipid oxidation. That's good, great, even better. All right. So if you go into the research and you're like, all right, well, you told me that plants, have a lot of have a lot of antioxidants. Well, what does that mean? Right. So there's some papers that actually have gone and tried to answer this question and say, what is the antioxidant content of, grapes? And what is the antioxidant content of strawberries? And how does that compare versus white meat and red meat and bread and flour products, you name it. So what researchers in this one paper did is they basically analyzed 3,100 different types of foods, beverages, spices, herbs, supplements, and these are very commonly used amongst people living around the world. And they analyzed all 3,100 of them, and they tried to determine what is the antioxidant content of each one of these foods, and then they rank ordered them. And what they found was that plant foods, whole plant foods that have either minimal processing or are as close to nature as possible with zero processing, have on average not twice the antioxidant content, not 3 times, not even 5 times, not even 10 times the antioxidant content. Plant foods contain 64 times the antioxidant content of animal foods. Just think about that for a second. 64 times as much antioxidant content as animal foods. That's a big deal. That means that every time you open your mouth and you choose to eat something like a banana as opposed to an egg, you significantly increase the antioxidant content in your of the number of antioxidants that are going into your mouth. And that right there is actually food for your mitochondria, which is a good thing because it can limit free radical damage, which extends the life of tissues. It's literally that simple. Okay. So here's the third concept. How do you increase your energy levels? Is that even possible? How can you do that using your food? Well, we tell people to eat according to this traffic light system. And the traffic light system basically prioritizes foods that come from these categories. Number 1, fruit. Number 2, non-starchy vegetables like tomatoes and broccoli and carrots and cauliflower and cucumbers. Also starchy vegetables like potatoes, yams, and squashes that grow in the ground. Any kind of legume, whether it's a bean, a lentil, or a pea. And then green leafy vegetables, intact whole grains, and herbs and spices. Okay. So all of these fall into the green light category. And the green light category is literally your all-you-can-eat Sizzler buffet. You go ahead, you eat as many of these foods as possible. I don't want you to calorie count. I don't want you to portion control. I don't want you to have to restrict your intake of them. Literally eat these foods until you're not hungry anymore. Very simple philosophy. Number 2, the foods that are in the yellow light category, nuts, seeds, avocados, coconuts, olives. Those tend to be a little bit higher in fat. They're still totally fine. You can eat them. Just limit your intake of them and try not to go hog wild. Pastas, pasta alternatives, and sprouted breads, they tend to be a little bit more processed. So just limit your intake of them and just be relatively sensible. And then the foods that are in the red light category are the ones that are high in saturated fat. They're high in cholesterol. They're high in compounds that have been known to accelerate the rate of development of cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. And so if you can try and minimize or eliminate as many of these products as possible, including dairy products, eggs, processed meats, red meat, white meat, poultry, fish, and shellfish, all oils, even though oils have been marketed as heart healthy. Hi, buddy. And then refined sugars and pastries and breads. If you can eliminate those from your diet, it's going to go a long way, because these foods are the ones that actually not only promote chronic disease, but these are the types of foods that actually rob you of energy. So here's the point. This is the point that I want to bring home. Here's the question we're trying to answer. How can you increase your energy levels using your food as medicine? Okay, most people think that in order to have more energy, they have to eat more protein. Mike, I'm sure you've heard this before, but tell me, growing up as an athlete, when you go to the locker room and when you're talking with your friends and your teammates about, oh, what am I going to eat after this soccer game? What am I going to eat after this weightlifting session? What's the thing that people are always, like, athletes and dudes are always trying to gravitate
towards? Protein.
Yep. It's all about protein. Did you eat your protein shake this morning? You getting enough protein? Bro, you need to eat more eggs. Those are going to get you some protein. Don't forget to eat meat. If you don't eat that, then you're not going to be able to grow. You're not going to be able to have a strong body. Even women in the same category. Now, this is not just bro science, right? The marketing is very strong for both men and women, and the conversation is all about protein. The problem with that is that protein actually is not used as a fuel. Protein is not a fuel. Protein is a structural molecule that gets broken down into amino acids, and those amino acids are incorporated in tissues. Protein is not a fuel source. So if you eat according to this traffic light diagram, what's going to end up happening is you're going to prioritize the right type of fuel for tissues, and the right type of fuel is glucose from carbohydrates. Glucose from carbohydrates is found in the green light category. So the foods that are in the green light category are the ones that will provide your brain and your heart and your liver and your muscle tissue with glucose, which is exactly the fuel that it was designed to run off of. So when you can do this and you can maximize your glucose intake from whole foods that also contain a lot of fiber and a lot of water and a lot of antioxidants and a lot of phytochemicals, like you can see on the screen here. Okay. These are the types of meals that we suggest. When you eat that, then you have no choice. Number one, your brain will respond. Your brain will be like, oh, wow, I'm getting the fuel I've needed for a long time, and I like this. Give me more. Your muscles will respond with decreased inflammation. Your fat tissue will respond because it will likely get smaller. And your thyroid gland will respond because it will actually regulate its thyroid hormone output and make it so that you feel energetic all day long, every day. So this is a really powerful system. And the truth is that it's not that complicated. Well timed, Indy. Nice job. Okay, so now here's the next question. It says, how can you perform intermittent fasting sustainably? How can you possibly do that? Well, here's the thing. Number one, you have multiple different ways that you can perform an intermittent fast. And again, the intermittent fast is designed for you to like tweak the timing of your food intake. That's all it really is. It's just a game of time. So the once per week, 24-hour intermittent fast is where I would start. So I say eat a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet as much as possible every day of the week. You choose one day of the week where you literally are just not going to eat food. But I know that may sound a little drastic, like, oh, God, I don't have to eat for 24 hours. That sounds not fun. The truth is that it's actually not that hard. It'll feel weird the first couple times, but you'll get used to it and you'll be fine. Okay? So choose a day of the week where you're not going to exercise too heavily. Choose a day of the week where you can kind of be a little bit sedentary. And by doing that, then you're not going to run the risk of, having low blood pressure or low blood glucose when you do perform exercise. If you do this is ideal for people who want to lose between 20 and 50 pounds. You got to basically do this every week. And I would recommend committing to this for like at least 6 months, if not a year. This can significantly accelerate your rate of weight loss. And it can also reduce your need for oral medication on the days that you're fasting. The next thing that I would do after experimenting with that a little bit is I would migrate to the 24-hour intermittent fast twice per week. And here, basically, you choose 2 different days of the week and you just stagger them so that one of them is, earlier in the week and one of them's later in the week, and they're spread out by a couple of days of eating. And if you do this, then you can get a little bit more weight loss. And by getting a little bit more weight loss on a daily basis and inducing more of a calorie deficit on a weekly basis, you can end up losing weight just a little bit faster. My favorite option of all is this one right here, the 16-8 intermittent fast. And the reason why this is my favorite is because, number one, if you're looking for a sustainable approach, this is it right here. Literally just take a photo of this screen or draw this on a piece of paper. The 16-8 daily intermittent fast is awesome because what it does is it enables you to basically skip one meal per day. You choose either your breakfast or your dinner. And you choose one of those 2 meals because those meals are close to your sleeping time. It's either right before you sleep or it's right after you sleep. And the time that you're sleeping counts. So if you were to perform a 16-hour fast every day and basically only eat within an 8-hour window of time, we have seen over the course of time, and I've read lots of research about the fact that this 16-8 intermittent fast is metabolic gold. Because this is ideal for people who want to lose large amounts of weight. But again, you don't have to, if you only want to lose 10 pounds, you can still do this. But I'm saying if you really want to lose a lot of weight, then this is a very effective technique as well. It's a very easy way to develop a sustainable regimen over the course of time, because what will happen is that when you perform a 16-8 fast, it may feel difficult for the first 2 to 3 to 4 days. And then your brain will adapt and literally cut off the hunger signal that normally created one. And as a result of that, you are literally going to be less hungry during that 6. bonkers effective technique. And we've seen lots of people go through this technique. I mean, literally thousands of people we've coached through this technique that have seen dramatic improvements and have been able to stick to this for a long period of time.
That makes a lot of sense, because like just thinking about, and I've done some 24-hour fasting and 48-hour fasting, and I mean, for me, it was not easy. It's really difficult. And then to think about doing it week after week after week, that's challenging. But when it comes to the 16-8, that's a lot different, because your brain has the ability to adapt. Whereas, it seems to me, and I don't know if this is scientifically proven, but it's going to be a lot harder to adapt to not eating for 24-hour cycles than it is going to be consistently every single day taking the same approach.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. Give me an idea. When you were doing a 24-hour intermittent fast, didn't like it. What was hard about it? What did you feel?
I was hungry.
Your friends and family didn't want to be around you. You got hangry, didn't you?
Hangry, mean.
Yeah. Another feeling. All of a sudden your brain is like, you're like, I'm hungry. Like, don't talk to me. You're like, patience goes out the door, and everything starts to piss you off, right?
Diva style.
Diva style. Yeah. So that's the truth, is that you want to avoid feeling hangry, and doing the 16-8 is something that can help you get there. No problem. Okay. So now here's another thing. Oh boy, can you hear in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Something just happened. Sorry. Okay. One of the things that's very powerful is that you can add antioxidants while fasting. This is a really, really, really powerful technique that most people don't think about. It's actually not that hard to do. But if you add powerful antioxidants while you're fasting, this can dramatically improve it can improve the quality of your fast, and it can help quench those free radicals that still exist inside of tissues. Sorry, give me 1 second here.
And so just as you guys are, just as he's doing that quickly, I just want to remind everybody that I see your questions and I see your comments, and we're going to be answering those live at the end. So just stick around. If we're not getting to the answer right this very second, just know that at the end of this presentation, we will be getting to those. Now, we may have a baby on the lap while we do that, but that's okay.
Yeah, it happens. Sorry about this now. Okay. So the question is, how do you get a high dose of antioxidants without adding significant amounts of calories? Because as you guys know, antioxidants come from plant-based foods, like we talked about. But if you're eating banana, you're eating mangoes, and you're eating tomatoes, you're going to be getting a decent antioxidant intake. But you're also going to be adding calories. So that's going to kind of like prevent you from fasting. So the question is there a way to get the antioxidants without getting calories? And if so, then how do you do it? So a simple way to do that is to use these things called Indian gooseberries. Now, Indian gooseberries, they come from India. They're the single most powerful antioxidant whole food ever discovered by human beings. There's literally no other food on the planet that's as powerful in its antioxidant content. Not cocoa beans, not acai berries, not goji berries, not red wine, not dark, none of that stuff. That stuff is powerful, fine. Even turmeric, powerful, but Indian gooseberries, league by themselves. Okay, the antioxidant value you can see on the screen, 261,500. That is anywhere between 2 and 50 times as powerful as many of the other common antioxidant-rich foods that you read about in the newspaper and hear, see in the grocery store. So Indian gooseberries are your ticket to very powerful antioxidant, and it's not that hard to get them, okay? The next thing that I would do, oolong green tea. Oolong green tea has a lower ORAC value. You can see it significantly lower. However, green tea has unbelievable health benefits. It can lower blood pressure. It can help reduce your risk for the development of cancer. It can help lower your blood pressure. It can help dilate blood vessels. It can help your brain think better. And as a result of that, oolong is one of my absolute favorite. I'm sorry, green tea in general, but specifically oolong is one of my favorite green teas and one of my favorite foods. Now, Amla berries have extremely high antioxidant power. Like I said, they're the highest ever discovered by human beings. And you can see that research actually shows that the Amla berries are considered are routinely measured in laboratory experiments to have an antioxidant value that is literally in a league by itself. So if you combine the Indian gooseberry with the oolong dark green tea, you're able to cut the flavor of the Indian gooseberry. Because I'll be the first person to tell you, Indian gooseberries, they don't taste good. They taste really bad. And part of the reason is because the foods that are very powerful, that have a really high antioxidant content in general, tend to have a very sour flavor. And these Indian gooseberries actually have the most sour flavor of almost any food I've ever tasted before. And there's a lot of other people that would also agree. And so what you end up doing is trying to find, what I did was I said, listen, these things are so powerful. I want to try and find a way where I can get this into people's mouths without, them having that sour pucker flavor and then like not want to take it the next time. So we had to make them taste good. And I discovered over the course of lots of experimentation that if you take the amla berries and you mix them with oolong dark green tea, then boom, all of a sudden it tastes really good. And you can serve it as a tea, and you can make it a 0-calorie tea that is extremely antioxidant rich. But in addition to that, the green tea is an appetite suppressant. So it's like the perfect storm. It's like perfect storm. The green tea suppresses your appetite, which is good during a fast. The green tea helps cut the flavor of the amla berries because that means it's going to be delicious. And the amla themselves are the most powerful antioxidant that you can get your hands on, period, end of story. So the combination of the two of them is just metabolic gold. Now, we've had a lot of people report back to us that green tea definitely helps suppress their appetite, and they've seen it over and over and over again. And as a result, they use this tea, amla green, as a fasting fuel. That's the way they think about it, right? And when they drink, we've heard from people that if they drink 1 glass, it reduces their appetite. If they drink 2 glasses, it can significantly reduce their appetite. And this is not like some weird appetite suppressing weight loss pill, because those things always are a disaster and they end up with serious long-term consequences. There's just like a natural appetite suppressing ability of oolong green tea. And we're not, trying to get you to have to do it all day long every day, but it's something that can help if you turn into Mike and you get hangry when intermittent fasting. So we created this tea. It's called Amla green tea. And Amla green has basically 3 different flavors. We got on the left, the purple flavor is basically a natural sort of like immune boosting formula that has in the Indian gooseberries plus elderberry plus mint, ginger, and cinnamon. And the combination of the 3 of those tastes real good. And this is known as a very powerful immune boosting formula. The one in the middle is the one that I talked about before, which is the Indian gooseberries dark green tea. The one on the right has hibiscus in it. So it's hibiscus, mint, ginger, cinnamon, and Indian gooseberries. And this one's a really powerful, very tasty, antioxidant-rich beverage as well. So all 3 of them are very tasty, and all 3 of them have shown over and over again to be a very powerful fasting fuel that has helped out lots of people over the course of time. So if you think about it as a fasting fuel, again, you got the Indian gooseberries, you combine it with the oolong dark green tea, the combination of the 2 of those. The oolong dark green tea is doing a lot of work to cut the flavor of the gooseberries and to suppress your appetite. And the amla gooseberries are giving you a more powerful antioxidant punch than you could get from any other food. On the screen, these are testimonials from people that are in our community. We see this over and over again. People saying, "Oh my Lord, my blood glucose is going down. My blood pressure is going down. For the first time in a long time, my blood glucose is more controllable." Other people are saying, "Listen, I've been adding this to my coffee. I'm adding it to my tea. I'm just having a good time. I'm putting it in salad dressings. It tastes great. Yeah, I've been living with some collection of metabolic consequences for a long time, and I'm getting great results so far. Let's make this happen for a longer period of time." So if you're sitting in a position where you're like, I think I should intermittent fast. I don't really know how. I don't really know when. I don't really know how to do it. What I'm suggesting, and this is, my professional opinion, is that performing intermittent fasting in a 16-8 manner on a daily basis has a profound effect. And if you complement that 16-8 fast with an antioxidant-rich beverage such as Amla Green, you can get yourself a truly ideal fasting fuel And the combination of the two of those, I'm telling you, is really, really powerful stuff. So here's a question for you guys. Go to the chat box. Tell me this. Do you want to learn how you can start implementing this into your lifestyle today? Because if so, type the word yes in the chat box, because like I told you at the beginning of this webinar, and like Mike alluded to, we got a special offer for you guys today because you came to the webinar, because you're here and paying attention. So if you want to learn how to get this in your lifestyle, then let us know in the chat box.
Yeah, if you're ready for not only and maybe you are ready to lose weight, or maybe you are ready to do some intermittent fasting, and you want to add the Amla offer that we're gonna share with you today, all you gotta do is click yes, and we'll share that with you, because it's a pretty outstanding offer. So it looks like, according to the chat box, the answer is yes. So why don't you hit us hard with that?
Yeah. Okay. So did you say a lot of people saying yes?
Oh, yes.
Cool. I love it. Okay. So here's the deal. We've thought long and hard about how we can get this into your guys' hands. And so what we have done is we've actually put together a deal for you guys that basically has 3 bottles of Amla Green all together. Okay. So this is a lifestyle bundle. And the lifestyle bundle is designed to give you 1 bottle of 30 serving regular, which is the one in the front with oolong green tea inside of it. 1 bottle of 30 serving hibiscus, which is on the back right, shown in red. And then 1 bottle of 30 serving immunity, which is the one containing elderberries, back left in purple. So you'll get 1 bottle of each for a total of 3 bottles for a total of effectively 90 days or 90 servings of Amla Green. And in addition to that, we're also going to throw in 3 PDF guides for you. And these guides are really cool because these guides basically tell you how you can incorporate Amla Green into that you can use during a fast, but also you can put it into other, you can consume it. We have a summertime soups guide for you that's really cool because it teaches you exactly how you can put together some soups, and you can put some salads that have Amla Green in them, and you get the antioxidant power plus just really tasty plant-based food. We have a and that mocktail guide is one of my favorites because how to make cocktails that you would get like at a bar, except they have 0 alcohol in them. And the mocktails in this guide, I'm telling you, just recipes in that guide itself are worth the deal. Period. End of story. These are some of the best tasting mocktails I've ever had before. And I really do mean that it's awesome to get a mocktail that doesn't have alcohol, that actually is healthy for you. And when you start drinking these mocktails, I think you're going to get your socks knocked off just like I did. And then on the right-hand side, we have a smoothie guide. And in this smoothie guide, we're basically these that are also incredibly tasty. So whether you like drinking mocktails, whether you want smoothies, whether you like soups, whether you like salads, we got you fully covered. And we're going to basically all 3 bottles of Amla Green so that you can taste all 3 of them and enjoy all 3 of them and get them present on a daily basis. So
That's
under
amazing.
normal circumstances,
so this is truly yes, I'm so sorry. You were breaking up a little bit, but I just wanted to say this is truly, like, if you're interested in intermittent fasting, you're ready to get started and try it, like, between the books and the Amla Green products, you're going to be able to dramatically improve your ability to be highly effective when it comes to executing this intermittent fast. And we just wanted to figure out a way that we could do as much as possible for those of you guys who are on this call today to be able to get it at a very, very discounted rate. So it says $74.85 down to $59.99. That's just the bottles of Amla Green. That doesn't even include the value of these books as well, which are going to help you create great meals, great soups, great salads, great mocktails, great smoothies for your intermittent fast. So we wanted to put together a bundle that would truly address all of the major challenges people have when it comes to intermittent fasting. So you'd have one complete bundle to be able to be very effective and be consistent and be sustainable with your intermittent fast.
Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't realize I was cutting out. Am I still cutting out by any chance?
I think it's a little better now. It was just for a second. It's been just a little bit on and off, but it's not bad. It's not bad.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I second everything that you just said here because there's just a lot of value locked up in here, not only in the actual Amla Green product itself, but also in the guides.
Someone was saying this doesn't ship to Canada, but that is not accurate. You do ship to Canada, do you not?
We definitely do ship to Canada. There's no question about it. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Cool.
So this fasting bundle is actually the types of people that benefit the most from this fasting bundle is number one, if you're consistent in your actions and you can do this on a daily basis, just like we're describing, you're gonna see results. Period. End of story. I kid you not. There's no question about it. Number two, if you're systematic about the way that you live your lifestyle, if you make small changes and you keep those changes consistent over the course of time, and you make a change and then you measure the change, you make a change, you measure the change, and you do this in a very repeatable manner, you're going to get results. And third, if you're patient being most people have developed, poor health over the course of time. It could be a chronic disease. It could be low energy. It could be brain fog. It could be poor skin health. It doesn't matter. Usually these problems take years, if not decades, to develop. And most people are looking for like quick solutions that can happen in the next 30 days. And sometimes you'll see some results when you change your diet, and you'll see some short-term results. But if you really, really, really want to change your life and, completely change the way that you feel from the inside out, you got to be patient. So if you can create a long-term plan and you can be consistent, you can be systematic, and you can be patient, there's no question this is going to work for you. And just to make sure that you guys, understand where we're coming from, we are not here to sell you snake oil. We don't care about that. I have no business to sell you a bunch of stuff that's going to go into your cupboard and not do anything for you. I literally don't care about that. So what we care about is that we help you. We give you tools that you can use to change your life. That's why we're here, because it's changed my life. It's changed Mike's life. It's changed every single team members of ours lives. And this stuff really does work. So if you do this and you try this and you buy this stuff and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I don't like the way this stuff tastes. It's garbage. Like, this isn't working for me. I don't feel more energy. I'm not actually losing weight. I'm following your advice and it's not working. Just send us an email. Send us an email. We'll give you all your money back. It's just that simple. Okay. We have 100% money back guarantee, and we have a very low refund rate because the stuff works.
Yep.
Because we have science on our side, and that's really important.
I just want to share. Do you mind if I share my screen real quick? Because I just want to share.
Go for it.
Somebody said they're still having problems when it comes to not shipping outside of the US. And I just wanted to walk people through this real quick. So let me turn my screen share on right here. So on the right here on the side of your screen, it says offers. You can click this button right here, get this offer now, and it's going to take you to this page. And you can see here, you're going to get an amazing deal. You're getting it at almost 20% off. And so for some of you who are like, well, shipping, outside the US, remember that because you're getting this deal, that's pretty much going to cover shipping anywhere. But when you look at this, you're also going to get, we've also added some sachets. So you can get Amla Green on the go for free. All you got to do is click, yes, I want this, add it there. And then you're going to go click this button right here where it says checkout. Okay. Now it says 2 items there. So hold on, let me just take this back down to 1 item here. And then I'm going to click checkout. And you're going to see that you're going to get the Amla sampler sachet pack for free. In addition, you're going to get for $59.99, you're going to get the 30-30-30. And then if you are outside of the US, where it says shipping address here, just click that, and then you can change where you want to get it shipped. So you absolutely can get it anywhere. And we're creating this amazing offer for you, not only with all of the smoothie guide and the soup and salad, as well as the mocktails, but you're also going to get that free Amla sampler pack for the road. So let's say you want to go, you want to go on a trip and you want to bring those samplers with you. That's all there. We wanted to make this incredible for you guys today. Even if you're living outside of the US, you can get started right now.
That was helpful. Very cool.
All right.
Very cool.
Let's go back. We've got a bunch of questions of people coming in, so maybe we could hit some of those real quick.
Do it.
How does intermittent fasting help you with aging? You mentioned how it helps. Could you say that one more time?
Yeah, for sure. Here's the way to think about it. There's a lot of things that we do in our daily life that actually accelerate the rate of aging. Things that you can do that will accelerate the rate of aging is, number one, live a high stress lifestyle. Number two, you can eat excess calories. Number two, you can consume a lot of artificial sweeteners. Number four, you can eat a high fat diet. Number five, you can eat a high animal protein diet, or basically a diet that contains a lot of animal products in it. Number six, you can get excessive sun exposure, and that can definitely age your skin on the outside. Okay. So if you can do any of those things on a daily basis, then you will actually age faster than you want. If you want to do the exact opposite and you want to age slower, then you have to think about, well, what's the opposite of all those things that you just said? Okay. The opposite of eating an animal-based diet is to eat a plant-based diet. The opposite of eating refined sweeteners is to eat whole foods. Okay. The opposite of living a high stress lifestyle is to lower your stress and maybe do some type of like meditative exercise once or twice a day. Okay. The opposite of, one other thing that you can do is to exercise at a medium intensity, 30 to 60 minutes per day, and make that a very continual part of your life, or a very consistent part of your lifestyle. Okay. So as you do those things, and especially as you are eating a very high antioxidant content diet, the research shows that antioxidants translate to less free radical damage in tissues, and that leads to longer tissue life. It allows your liver to stay functional for a longer period of time. And trust me, you want that. It allows your kidneys to stay functional for a longer period of time. It improves the function of your heart and your vasculature and your muscle tissue and your brain and your thyroid gland and your spleen and beyond. Okay. The thing that will cut your life short, part of the reason why there's a lot of people who end up dying prematurely is because one or multiple of their tissues, of their organs, dies. You've probably seen this. You've probably seen somebody who got like a fatty liver disease, somebody who had to go for a kidney transplant, or somebody who had diabetes and ended up with peripheral neuropathy and had to get a foot amputated. Okay. These are all examples of tissue death. Okay. If you want to age quickly, find a way to make tissues inside of your body die. Okay. If you want to age quickly, that's the route to death. But if you want to age slowly, then what you have to think about is, how do I make sure all of my parts internally are living for the longest period of time?
Right.
And if you can do that, and you can do that via an antioxidant rich diet, and in our professional opinion, adding things like Amla green to your diet, you can maximize your antioxidant intake and your plant food intake. And that right there is going to maximize the health of all tissues inside of your body.
It's amazing. Marlon has a series of questions here. What percentage of green, yellow, and red light foods should one eat? When intermittent fasting, do you watch calories at all? And with the 16-hour fast, do you limit yourself to 2 meals or eat as much as you want?
Great question, Marlon. Okay, awesome. Percentage of green, yellow, red light foods. Okay. Percentage of green light foods in your diet, 90%. Percentage of yellow light foods, 10%. Percentage of red light foods, 0. That's my opinion. That's my suggestion for you. 90, 10, 0. If you wanted to do something like 80, 10, 10, I'm happy. That's fine. Okay. But maximize green, minimize yellow, and try and minimize or eliminate red. That's what I'd say. When intermittent fasting, do you watch calories at all? The answer is no, because you are intermittent fasting. That's the beauty of it. Intermittent fasting means you go to 0 calorie intake. There's literally 0 calories coming into your mouth. The only thing that we recommend doing is drinking liquids that contain 0 calories. That includes water. That includes tea. You could drink coffee if you wanted with no milk. And that includes, maybe some vegetable juice if you wanted to, right?
And
but the idea here is that
so if I'm waking up in the morning and I pour a glass of coffee or tea, can I put amla in it while I'm in my 16 hours fasting?
Yeah, exactly the point. You would absolutely add amla green to your tea, or you can add it to a glass of water to turn it into a tea. And the reason we do that is because this bottle, even though it contains amla berries inside of it, has such a small calorie content that it's effectively 0. One scoop has effectively 0 calories in it. And that's a good thing, because that means that you're not going to break fast. Okay. And then with 16-hour fast, do you limit yourself to 2 meals or eat as much as you want? Okay. So with a 16-hour fast, you fast for 16 hours, and then 8 hours remaining, you eat until you're almost full. Do you want to eat 2 meals? Do you want to eat 3 meals? It's totally up to you. You eat as much as you want or as much as you don't want. But what I would recommend doing is try not to overeat during that period. Because psychologically, sometimes what people will do is they're like, oh my God, I only have 8 hours. I'm just going to eat everything I can possibly eat so that I can get like over full. And that's going to help prepare me for the next fast. Don't do that. Just eat until you're like, okay, cool, whatever. I feel good. I feel fine. And then you go into your next fasting period, and then you can repeat that process.
But when I'm eating green light foods during the 8 hours that I can eat, I don't have to count calories. I can just eat my fill, right?
That's exactly right. You don't have to count calories because you're likely going to be in a negative calorie balance. And you're likely, over the course of that entire 24-hour period, you're probably not going to be able to eat. You're going to
Enough
be
green light
eating
foods.
calories normally would. Exactly right. So you'll end up in a calorie deficit de facto.
Got it. Terry says, I just received my 3 Amla greens. Can I still qualify for the PDFs?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Sure.
You just email
Terry, do us a
support?
favor.
Yeah, sorry, go
What was
ahead.
that?
I was just going to say maybe they can email support and we can get those over to them.
100%. Yeah. So email support@amlagreen.com and, just tell us what you bought, and yeah, we'll send you over the PDFs. No problem.
Awesome. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. I'm gonna start scrolling back. We're gonna be wrapping up here shortly, but if you have any more burning questions, make sure you ask those now. I'm gonna scroll back a little bit to see. I know we had some questions further back. Why are
Send it
doctors
back.
touting MCT oil for brain health? I'm not sure.
Oh God. Yeah. These oils kill me, man. These oils absolutely kill me. Okay. All oil. I don't care if it's olive oil. I don't care if it's canola oil. I don't care if it's coconut oil. I don't care if it is MCT oil, which is medium chain triglyceride oil. Oil, if you are living, first of all, if you're living with any chronic disease, whether it's diabetes, heart disease, cancer, hypothyroidism, obesity, any of those, oil is going to move you in the wrong direction. And I know this may sound like a completely like off the wall thing. Like, Cyrus, why would you say that? I'll tell you why. Because the evidence shows that. If you look at the scientific evidence and you try and figure out what happens to people who are already living with a chronic disease when they keep oil in their diet, they end up with higher blood glucose, higher blood pressure, higher cholesterol values, and they have a difficult time losing weight. Okay. So if that's your end goal is to have higher blood glucose, high blood pressure, what you name it, then by all means, keep oil in your diet. My recommendation would be minimize or eliminate all oils from your diet, especially MCT oil, because MCT oil is an invention by a guy named Dave Asprey. He created a bulletproof brand, and he's not, I don't think he's a bad person. I think that he just has like slightly misleading marketing because he makes you think that MCT oil is required. And if you're not consuming it, then something bad is going to happen to your brain. Okay. Most importantly, your brain does not use fatty acids as a fuel source. Your brain cannot use fatty acids as a fuel source. Your brain can only use glucose as a fuel source. And under emergency situations, your brain can use these things called ketone bodies as a fuel source. So if somebody's telling you that you need oil for your brain, your answer to them should be, you should read a biochemistry textbook, because that's actually not true. And I will stop.
Do you want to just, do you have the mic? Did you just want to drop that mic, or are you good?
Yeah, totally. You should read a biochemistry textbook. Put this down.
Dr. Greger mentioned benefits to having a in-eating window early in the day and downsides to the window being late in the day. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. So that's actually, that's basically called, there's a specific name for that. It's called, I'm blanking on the name of it. But it's basically paying attention to your circadian rhythms and paying attention to the amount of growth hormone and cortisol that is being produced by your adrenal gland in order to regulate your appetite and your energy levels. So if you choose to do that and have more food in the morning hours and less in the evening hours, I think it's a phenomenal recommendation. And I'm not going to talk ill about that in any way. The name of the field is actually called chronobiology. And chronobiology basically takes into account natural circadian rhythms in trying to determine your food intake. And Dr. Greger is actually a good friend of mine. And pretty much everything that comes out of Dr. Greger's mouth is pretty solid. So if he says it, then you can believe it.
Debbie says, oat bran a green light food or a yellow food?
Oat bran is
bran. We should cover oatmeal too, like oatmeal and oat bran. Like where do those live?
Those are in the green light category.
Green light.
Green light category, because we're looking at whole grains, and especially if they're intact whole grains, meaning buy oat groats and steel cut oats because they're very minimally processed. Don't buy the puffed oats or the rolled oats or the like oats that have been ground down into a flour. Try and eliminate those because those are highly processed versions of oats.
Okay. We're almost out of stock on this. So if you want to get this, we're going to be wrapping up here in just a second. All you got to do is click that get this offer now button. Make sure you get it before it is gone. Rachel says, so if I'm doing green only, how much meat should I incorporate? If I'm doing green only, how much meat should I incorporate?
If I'm doing green only, I don't think I understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question. Marlon said, is the presentation available for us to review? What I'm most interested in is the green, yellow, red foods. Maybe if you could put that green, yellow, red foods back on the screen
For
and
sure.
people could take a quick picture of that, that would be helpful. And again, the red light foods are foods to avoid. But, as Cyrus said earlier, having, doing 10% red versus, 50 or 100 it's going to make a difference. So, focus on what you're capable of doing. But I think the important thing here that you can take away from this is just grab a snapshot of this just so you can review it on a daily basis. So you're very clear about what those red, yellow, and green light foods are. Folks had similar questions about omega-3 oils, sesame oils, seed oils, but from my understanding, those are all on the red light category, right?
Yeah, exactly right. So I put all oils. That's why it says oils of any kind over here in the red light category. And again, oil is like such good marketing. It's brilliant. Whether you're talking about like olive oil is heart healthy, or whether you're talking about avocado oil and walnut oil is having like a high smoke point and something that you should use in your cooking, it doesn't matter. Oil is not a food that I would recommend putting in. It is literally the most calorie dense food of all foods. And small amounts can go a very long way, and not only in damaging your endothelium inside of your vasculature, but also in just adding extra calories that you probably don't need or want in the first place.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Real quick, what's your take on veggie meat products, Beyond, Impossible, etc.?
Okay, those are great transition foods. So if you are stepping into a plant-based diet, and I'm telling you to eat, like as you see on the screen right here, and it's going to take you a little bit of time to like become comfortable eating more fruits and starchy vegetables and legumes and whatnot, and you want to use those plant burgers and those Impossible burgers as a transition to getting there, I'm cool with it. Go for it. No problem at all. I just want you guys to understand that those are very processed foods. So technically speaking, they don't have any animal products in them. But if you read the ingredients on the back of the package, you'll see that they have a lot of synthetic material inside of them. Okay. I'm suggesting you eat whole foods. Those are considered like plant-based, and they are, mainly synthetic. And then there's the animal foods. So if you got to use the synthetic foods in order to get to the whole foods, cool, do it. Just recognize that it's sort of like it's a step in order to get to your ultimate goal.
What are your thoughts on a raw diet? Joan wants to know.
I ate a raw diet for 14 years. I love raw diet. If you want to eat a raw diet, by all means, you can go for it. Eating as much raw material as possible is actually really hard for you, which it can be for some people, then there's no pressure to have to eat a raw diet. So it's totally a personal choice. But like I said, I did it for 14 years, and that's how I got started. And eating a raw diet is an amazing thing to do.
Rain wants to know, whole grain breads, are those also in the yellow group?
Whole grain breads, are they also in the yellow group? Yes, whole grain breads. I mean, yes, breads and sprouted breads are right here in the group. So yes, I would put them there.
Excellent. Let's see. Beverly wants to know if the travel can she order the travel packs separately? I don't know if we have. I don't know if we have those separate or not. Do you know? I don't think so.
No, I don't think we do, actually. I think you can't buy
all right. So, hey guys, we're going to be wrapping up here in just a second. Last question for you, Cyrus. Joan says, does the Amla have a lot of fiber? I noticed a great change in my digestion when using Amla.
Sorry, I cut out one more time.
That's okay. Joan loves the Amla green powders. She has had a lot of success with it, but she wanted to know, she's seen a lot of improvement in her digestion. And she was just curious if Amla has fiber in it or if that's just a byproduct of her diet.
Yeah, so it's a byproduct of your diet. Amla green tea does contain fiber, but it's minuscule. And so as a result of that, you can basically just think of like every scoop of this is just literally like an antioxidant bomb. Fiber content low, calorie content low, antioxidant content high. Right. So that's why you're getting this. If you're getting improved digestion, Joan, that's awesome. I love it. My digestion improved significantly as well. That's coming mainly from not only the increased amount of fiber, but the increased diversity of fiber in your diet that you get from eating multiple different types of plant foods over the course of a 24-hour period.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Well, as always, Cyrus, thank you so much for your time. I know you've got 1,000 things going on. I know you're always coaching and helping people get to their best health and improve chronic diseases, and really spending your entire life focused on not only your health, but other people's health. So thank you so much for the time you spent with us here. Thank you all for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure having you. And what an amazing question. So definitely come back and join us for future events, as we'll always be answering questions. And we love to create amazing offers to get folks utilizing intermittent fasting as well as Amla Green to get those health benefits. So again, Cyrus, what a pleasure. And we'll talk to you real soon.
You're the man. Thanks, Mike. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you. And we will see you guys all next time. Have a great day.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.